fun. We have had just, oh, uh, if I get distracted, it's because of this rain. It's like pelting down. You guys can't hear it. We've had a wonderful week of events. We've had we started off with our ADOS family reunion on Sunday, which was a lot of fun, and it was just an opportunity for us to de-stress and to see one another, and that was, a virtual family reunion. And then on Wednesday, we had part one of a two-part series where we talked about ADOS as a federal designation. How do we get a federal designation? What do we need to do? What are the benefits for it? And unfortunately, it's been done before. Unfortunately, the group that has done it, Hispanics aren't, they're anti-Black, so I don't expect to see any allies in that quarter, but at least we have a blueprint in terms of where we need to go and what we need to do. So our second night was just a continuation of that. We had an interactive game where we actually answered some questions, a lot of fun. Kahoot, the same game we played on Sunday. And we discussed the policy. And the policy was really fascinating because once you get the designation, it's just not, okay, you're designated an ethnicity. There's actually policy that follows. So when it comes to the census is mandated to make sure they have an accurate count of Hispanics. They're not mandated to make sure they have an accurate count of us. Just Hispanics. There are other resources, so that you see like English as a second language, all those resources that go and follow them because they're the only ethnicity. So we were discussing how we could go about doing it, and that's going to be probably a 2-3 year long project. And then we're here tonight. So tonight we're going to have a discussion about people of color, the term people of color, the history of it. And at the end, we're going to wish the term people of color goodbye. We have Quantum Blackness, who wrote a eulogy for the term people of color. And Candace put a video together for us, so we will review that video. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to Evan. And let me step back and tell you, who our hosts are tonight. We have Evan, we have Quantum, we have Trey, and Evan is from ADOS Pittsburgh, Quantum is from ADOS Pittsburgh, I'm from ADOS Atlanta, Trey is from ADOS Alabama, Shelly's from ADOS Dallas, we have Trish from ADOS Atlanta, and we have Franco, who is from ADOS Atlanta, who did not know he was going to be a co-host. So this is a little surprising to him, but welcome to the co-host team, Franco.
Hey, Franco, not Marco.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Evan. This morning, Trish wrote something on her Facebook wall that I wanted to share with you all. So Evan, I sent it to you in text, so you can get us started right there.
Okay. Yeah, I got a little, I guess you call it spoken word, whatever you want to call it. So here it goes. Juneteenth is celebrated by my people, ADOS, because we've endured so much in this country. We've given our all to a country that hates our very existence. It's an abusive relationship, and we've done nothing to deserve this treatment. America has a long memory when it comes to harms done to her, but for the descendants of slaves, not so much. Never forget we were slaves for 246 years. Never forget it took a war and the US Army to free us from white men and women and natives. Never forget we were promised 40 acres for our service, which was robbery, but we never received recompense. Never forget we were terrorized by jealous white men and women when we were quote unquote freed. Never forget that when we freed ourselves, we were left penniless to starve because we were of no value to white men and women. Never forget white men and women have devised an insidious system to keep us bottom caste while demonizing us at the same time. Never forget after Reconstruction, we were re-enslaved. Never forget white men and women fear their own and allow them to keep a caste system in America because it suits them. Never forget we were bombed on US territory. Never forget white women are lockstep with white men when it comes to racism. It's a family affair. Never forget, no one wants us to mention our plight, but white people remember their founding fathers, i.e., rapists, pedophiles, and sex traffickers, with fondness. Never forget, we fought in every war for our country. We were lynched because of our service. Never forget, we were slaves. We have given America heart, surgery, blood typing, refrigeration, the hairbrush, Michael Jackson, Negro spirituals, gospel, soul, rock, country, jazz, heavy metal, hell, music. Dr. George Washington Carver, 3D movies, Los Angeles, the space heater, space travel, caller ID, space-saving furniture, and a plethora of other inventions. What we got in return was syphilis, medical experimentation, medical apartheid, sterilization, rape, beatings, murder, terrorization, the KKK, cops killing us with impunity, degradation, fear, massacres, bombings, fear, family separation, children put in cages, black codes that still stand today, sundown towns that are still in place today, and a sundry of other things that put our lives in peril daily. Oh, and leave us not forget white men and women coming on my Facebook page telling me people don't deserve reparations because all lives have been treated unfairly. My people, ADOS endured numerous atrocities by the hands of white men and women and natives in this country, and we are due reparations for our service and hardships, period. Happy Juneteenth, ADOS. That's the end.
Bars.
I say, can you hear clapping? I was doing it. That was awesome, Evie.
Is Princess still in here? Oh, she's muted. Can y'all hear me?
Go ahead, Trish.
Well, my screen is locked. So I was gonna say I need to leave and come back if it'll let me, because I can't do anything.
Okay, that's okay. You can come back, and we'll be
Okay.
here. And
Okay.
Nobly, do you want to give us a recap of the first 2 days of
I don't mind as long as Shelly doesn't get a pass and has to join in as well while we wait on Trish.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about well, we went over a timeline of the different names that we were given throughout the U.S. Census, and Shelly pretty much broke it down on how even though we were given a name to be on the census, therefore our history was undocumented. And that's when we were just labeled slaves and only counted as inventory, not as people. And that brought us up into the 2010 census, which was the last census to use the term Negro. And from there, we got African American was added on in 2000 census and brought us to 2020 census, where everyone in the diaspora can put where they came from, except us. Like, because the term Black and African American is the general term, when we're supposed to put down our nationality, we're asking everyone to put down American descendants of slavery to identify ourselves. So we're not just checking off Black or African American as though we're just amongst the general diaspora. Ethiopians are putting out Ethiopia, and so forth and so forth. Jamaicans are putting Jamaicans. So we're asking everyone to please put down ADOS to claim our heritage as well. Shelly.
Okay. So we further discussed how we went through where the word Negro derives from. You didn't go over there, right? Nobly?
I didn't.
Okay, cool. So we talked about where the word Negro derives. And so we kind of brushed through that and told the history behind that whole word and how the Spanish and the Portuguese used that term Negro to refer to people that were enslaved from the African continent, and also European enslavers, as the English adopted the term for the same purpose. Okay. So going into the invention of race. So we talked about how race, as we all know, is a social construct, a political and social construct. And it was created as a classification for people with the purpose of giving white people full power and to legitimize the dominance of white people over non-white people, especially ADOS. Okay. Also, we went into redefining as a general thing, because right now it's not exclusive. So ethnicity is defined federally as to whether a person of Hispanic or Latino origin is of Hispanic or Latino origin or not. The exclusivity of the definition of the ethnicity harms ADOS because it doesn't like include anyone else from any other ethnic background. Thus, it must be redefined as soon as possible to be more inclusive to other ethnic backgrounds. We also argue that ethnicity should be defined by 4 shared elements: race, nationality, lineage, and culture. And what we did was use these 4 different categories to build who we are. And so if you think about our race, we're Black. Our nationality, we're American. Our lineage is ADOS, and we speak English. So those 4 different categories allows us 400 plus years. So yeah. So as noted throughout history, the U.S. has forced labels on us. This labeling has been very detrimental while benefiting the system of white supremacy. The federal definition of ethnicity will have to be redefined to be more inclusive to people of non-Spanish origins. So yeah, that's about it.
And just to go back what Princess was saying about Hispanics being the only ethnicity, is that that's the whole point of us really pushing for our identity, not because Hispanics have their own, but because we need our own so we can have tangibles attached to us. And the resources aren't just being put in communities of color.
Yeah, good. Well,
And no, Princess, Nobly was discussing how, I think it was yesterday or the day before, maybe both days, how us being counted is about power. You know, it's about us. Excuse me. It's about us having more power in a country that we built. And so that was one of the other things that like really stuck out to me, because as of right now, funds are being misappropriated, and things that are supposed to be exclusively, that it's supposed to be specifically for us, is going to other communities. So yeah.
great. Well, thank you for the recap. And the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to have a discussion about people of color, the term people of color. What does it mean? What is the history? Why we feel as though it's a racial slur? What's the difference between colored and people of color? Colored people versus people of color, and does it matter? And with that, I will put the first question out, which is, what's the difference between colored people and people of color?
So anybody can answer, or
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. Yeah.
So when I think of color versus people of color, color is a term that we've been referred to in the past before, and we've already moved beyond it. And so it was something that was supposed to, that refer to us only. And then now where you see like the people of color label, it includes all of these groups that are not white according to America. Well, I wouldn't say even not white according to America, but not your white American type thing. So that's the first thing that I think of.
Yeah, I look at it as a slur because there. So take that out of your conversation. Don't even let the sound come out of your mouth. I don't want to hear it. So it's just a way to erase us. It's just saying that we're not white and we're like everybody else who's not white. And that's what America wants to do, is just erase us, erase our history. And this is part of the erasure of our whole culture.
Exactly. It's pretty much, to me, it's just, so bigger picture, I look at it like Yvette always says, politics is an expression of power, right? So before, like, I don't think we really thought of it in terms of um, what we call ourselves is like a political instrument, right? So at one point it was like we were called colored. We didn't have a say in that. That was what, what our oppressors named us, basically. They just like, they gave us names in slavery, they named us colored, and they put us over here, they told us where we could go, what we could do, etc. And then at some point we ADOS Dallas for the breakdown, started calling ourselves African American to take back some of that power, right? And so the people of color thing kind of like crafted back. It's basically, it's the same exact thing as calling us colored, but it's just passive now. Instead of saying you're colored, you're a person of color. It's just but it's the same exact, it has the same exact functional use. Like, you're not white, so this is what. Well, actually, I guess it's a little bit more layered now, because it's like it's a way of trying to sound endearing while not doing anything for us. So whenever they want to single us out for punishment, we're black, or we're ADOS, right? Whenever resources are being given out, now the resources are going to people of color. Whenever it's, all the bad stuff is happening to us. So I think that's why I think of the ADOS movement as, it's not just a reparations movement. It is Black people kind of like same move that we tried to make in the 80s, calling ourselves African American. This is us making another political, it's political mature. You're not going to call us people of color like you called us colored. You're going to call us ADOS, because that comes with all of the political history and the multi-trillion-dollar debt that is associated with it. Like we're playing the chess game now with politics, right? Like, we're not passive. We're not just letting things happen. Like, we're active in it. We're taking control of our own destiny. And like Yvette said, like, politics is an expression of power. We're taking power back from our oppressors.
Can I say something? I look at the term people of color as a slur because in many ways it's used to make white people feel comfortable around the discussion of race and racial injustice. It's easier to say that people of color experience racism than to really deal with the history of racial and systemic oppression of ADOS people. It's easier to say that Black, indigenous people of color are experiencing racism than to say that the Native American people of. So it's a way to remove the sting of and the burden of responsibility to ADOS people by people who are not looking to really bring about change. One of the interesting things listening to Martin Luther King talk about, where do we go from here, and the two Americas, as he talks about the unwillingness of white people and white liberals to actually sacrifice anything when it comes to actual change, when it's going to cost something. And so one of the things that we see with backlash from white people is this term people of color emerging seemingly out of nowhere, because it gives them a way to absolve themselves from the guilt that they feel that might push them to action and to actually take responsibility and pay the debt that's owed to ADOS.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Candace has her hand raised, so I'm going to unmute Candace, I'm sorry.
And then Michael Hicks.
Michael Hicks, I didn't see his, but I'll get you next, Hicks. Okay.
The word slur real quick, and I did. And then I looked up, it makes me think of blur. So slur and blur kind of go together. And a slur is to speak words or speech indistinctly, so that to speak so indistinctly so that words and sounds run into one another. Or an insinuation or allegation about someone that is likely to insult them or damage their reputation. And I do believe that when everybody gasps when we say slur, when we say, oh, a racial slur, they're really like, no, I'm not doing that to you. I'm not insulting you, by calling this word that somebody made up that we're allowed to use for you. But we're the only ones who could determine whether something has been slurred because we know the definition. So
Thank you, Candace. Thank you. I think that's a new perspective, and I appreciate that. It's a blurring. The slur is a blur. You said Michael Hicks. I don't see his hand up, but I'll unmute him.
Hey, hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Happy Juneteenth.
Hey there, Mike.
Everyone has brought up excellent points. One of the things that I would add, particularly when I think about the last one, like the blur is a slur, and then that bleeds into American corporate operations, particularly along the lines when you hear, and also on the college campus, when you hear the words, because people of color is a gateway to the rhetoric of diversity and inclusion. And that's a way for white Americans to attempt to deal with all of the issues of everyone that's not white in some sort of generalized fashion and attempt to cover the bases of American problems without having to do any specificity. And that's especially problematic for our interest in our politics. The blur is a slur because it literally is doing violence to our righteous justice claim.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Hicks, for that. Appreciate that. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Hey, yes, just to say real quickly, one of the experiences I've had recently with the term colored is I seen a grown man break down hearing the term colored recently. It was like PTSD on steroids because they remember hearing that term and their father being denied permission into a building, and they saw their grown father pee on themselves by being denied by a group of white people or white men from being able to go into a building. And they were a young boy. So every time they hear the words colored, persons of color, it makes them go back to that day that their dad was embarrassed as a grown man. You know what I'm saying? It was traumatizing to them, and to be threatened and to have a gun drawn on them, like, just because they wanted to use the bathroom. So it's like, it's not only just a slur, but it's trauma. It's a part of the trauma that we've been through. And like, we're being re-traumatized every time they throw this word back at us.
Wow. Like, put that together with what what you said, what Mike said, and what Candace said. And that's even more reason to fight, like for everyone who doesn't have a voice, for us to fight for them and make sure that that is taken out of the lexicon. You can't talk to us like that. Those days are gone. Thank you.
Yosef, you
One
want
more
to add something? Yeah.
I did want to add another thing. One of the reasons why being just lumped in together with other people that are considered non-white, one of the things that's detrimental about it is no other population, no other group of people was strategically and intentionally dehumanized for the sake of becoming property, for the sake of building wealth in this country. So to just lump us in with everyone else is really to deny us our humanity that was taken. That's one of the reasons why we still experience, police violence in the way we do, racism in the way we do, oppression in the way we do, is because this country has yet to really acknowledge our humanity and our birthright citizenship that comes along with it, and the rights and privileges of being human in America.
Absolutely.
I also think that that it kind of throws in a way for the United States not to deal with what their original sin. And when you lump everybody in together, then nothing gets done. So I know you all have heard the whole and they kind of apply it to every group from everywhere globally. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not even realistic to happen. And so it's kind of like, if we throw everybody in together, then nothing gets done. So since the ADOS people are the ones that technically should be up next, we're going to latch ourselves onto that so nothing gets done, because that's not our claim anyways. Or we'll try to put ourselves in that some type of way to try to match that type of suffering type of thing. So it's really weird.
Agree. So I have Linda Way. Let me mute you, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, please correct me. Let me unmute you. Let's see, trying to unmute you. Try it over here. Huh. Can you try and unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you and it's not working. There you go. Okay, there you go. We can't hear you. Are you getting earphones? Now you were supposed to be ready. We still can't hear you. You need to check your audio. This better be good. This had better be good.
You ain't right.
Okay, we're gonna come back to you. Now get that audio worked out and we will be right back. Time for commercial break. Okay, does anyone else have anything they would like to add or any questions about people of color? And I mean, does anyone, I guess we know people of color are anyone who's not white, right? I guess we know that. But does it make sense to lump us in with people who are so different from us? And do you think that like other cultures are embracing the term people of color? And if so, why? If not, why? So I'll leave those questions out, looking at it from an external viewpoint.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, my name's Jeff Gresham. first of all, I want to thank everyone for their points of view, because I'm taking all this in. And, you know, we all have our conversations with friends and family members. So what you guys are saying is all on point. Just my take on it. I look at a lot of the different nationalities that we have in the country, and just as us, as African-American descendants of slavery, you know, it's like when you take a child to the doctor, they fight. They don't want to take the pill. They don't want to take the shot. That to me is what's going on right now in this country as far as race relations go. You have, and forgive me if I offend anyone, I truly don't mean to, but you have white America who's starting to get their medicine of the wrong that they've done along the way, and they don't want to take the medicine of the truth, which is being administered to them nationwide, if not around the globe. And here in this country, particularly speaking, and down here in Atlanta, you look at how the marches are going, the protests are going. And I said this to someone earlier today, to Trish, actually. It sickens me when I see some of the things that folks who truly believe that you still have African Americans here in this country, that we're in the wrong when all we do is just try to mind our business every day. So with everything that's going on, this being Juneteenth, and I saw it or read it somewhere earlier today that a lot of folks were not made aware of this in school. And again, it just goes to the teaching that we were taught. We weren't taught our history. So as we get older, we're learning about it. And kind of to your point about something you made a moment ago, that dealing with this and what's going on, we have to keep the pressure up in any way always possible. ADOS is just another way of keeping up the pressure, that we have to keep these folks in the loop of the wrongs that has been done and the wrongs that continue to be done. Thank you for everyone for listening, and I'll continue to listen on.
Jeff, I have a question for you. Do you know my
Yes.
husband, Theodore Lawson?
I think is Teddy.
Yup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thought that was you. Okay.
Tell him I said, hey, I hope he's
I
doing
will.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment, thoughts? Did you get your, okay. We still can't hear you.
He might need to leave and come back.
You want to leave and come back? And when you come back in, make sure you select like computer, audio, and visual. Okay? All right. We'll see you in a little bit. We'll hold your spot. Anyone else want to say anything? We have about, I'm going to tell you, we have about 10 more minutes of open discussion, and then we have a video that we are going to premiere for you. First time. This is the first time video. This is a eulogy of sorts. So as we have this conversation, you know, keep in mind that the end point is going to be our farewell to the word people of color and acknowledging that it is a racial slur. And so from here on out, we know that we are going to correct people in terms of the usage of that word. So let's see. Does anyone want to add anything?
Yeah, I can add something. I can add
Go ahead,
something.
Jose. Yeah.
I you know, am angry. And I got really angry about people of color because of what it does with regards to erasure of our lineage. Was supposed to be a funeral for ADOS. It was supposed to be the casket that they bury us in, where they forget about everything that ever happened. They erase the debt owed, and they do what they did in Argentina, where they imported all these white Italians, and they systematically, over time, erased all the Black Argentinians through different means. We were supposed to crater into zero and disappear. And people of color was supposed to be that neat box, and they were just about to close the casket, you know. And here comes ADOS, you know. ADOS fast and furious. We're on the offensive, and we play really good defense. People of color is a caste system. It was supposed to be a new caste system where we were on the bottom, slowly disappearing, and the Asians were supposed to stand on top of that and erase us economically and culturally. In my opinion, the goal of people of color is to aid in white denial. And denial is whiteness in America. It's denial of the history. It's denial of the debt. And people of color was meant to we were supposed to aid in our erasure. You know, aid, like you have Black people, we have a hard time talking to Black people about even that they deserve reparations, you know? So when I thought about a eulogy, the ultimate denial, the white denial, is that the future of America, because ADOS is here, and ADOS did come through fast and furious, the future of America is reparations. And people of color was supposed to aid white denial and white supremacy in burying us culturally, physically, economically. And you think about even with regards to the census, you know, why was that work not done 50 years ago? I mean, all the work that we have to do, it's like, well, you know, you know, we really dropped the ball after King died and after Malcolm X was killed, you know, after they were both killed and after we vacated the political arena. Because what we're doing with regard to the census should already been done, but we've never had a chance to define ourselves for ourselves and to colored. You were called Negro. You were called African American, and people of color was supposed. I mean, even all those terms was very specific about who it was, you know. But people of color was just meant to. It's probably the worst of them all because it doesn't identify us at all. And now with the BIPOC, I put a comment in Tone's show last night about how BIPOC was meant to use Black Americans as a battering ram to get benefits and tangibles for everybody that at the I and the POC. But you're supposed to die. You know, this is about life and death. I won't talk too much. But that's just the idea about with regards to burying the term and it having a symbolic date and time so that you can go back. If someone calls you a people of color, you can say no on May 25th at 8 p.m. That term died. And I feel like there's been articles written about why we don't say period on it, where you can say, this is the date where you don't call me that, you don't refer to me as that. And I wanted to put a period on it, you know. Because the people of color stood over George Floyd and let him get lynched in broad daylight.
Yep.
So that people of color died with George Floyd. That's gone.
Right, there is no solidarity. And that's what we learned when we started doing this research, like everything, quote unquote, Hispanics, otherwise known as Spanish-speaking Europeans, everything they did for themselves. There was no adding, and Black people, in any of their verbiage, not in the funds that they got, not in that they received, not in the benefits that they received, nothing. There's no coalition, there's no aid, there's nothing carved out for us. It's all for them. And so now it's our turn. And I like what you said, Georgette, when you said we're fast and furious and we're playing offense.
Yep.
And they don't have an answer.
And I think too, Trish, it's just like so infuriating when when you begin to understand that the census is about power
Mm-hmm.
and the government is mandated to make sure their power is captured correctly and accurately, and nothing is done to make sure our power is captured correctly, because they don't have to make sure that they're doing the census right for anyone but Hispanics. And we're the group that needs the census numbers to be accurate the most because we have the least power. So it's just infuriating that this has been happening my entire lifetime. 50, 60 years, this has been going on while they've been fake smiling in our face like, oh, yeah, solidarity, brown and black coalition.
They've been white all
Meanwhile,
along.
you guys have resources that we don't have, and we've been here before y'all, and we built this country. So it's infuriating.
It is. It is. So yeah,
That's all
I
about.
the CDC sent out a tweet today talking about the census, and I told them
Right.
that it's the least. That this is the least thing that they could do is promote this once every 10 years and get the word out to get the correct count for our people. Like, this is a benign thing that you could do that won't harm, if ostensibly harm white supremacy, because they care. So why aren't you getting the word out? That's the least you could do.
Right.
They don't even have the right designation on here.
Yeah, they haven't worked on it. Like, we're working behind the clock, but that's why we need everybody. Like, we have to get the critical mass. We have to get more people on board. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else want to give their thoughts?
Yeah, this is Khalik Gray.
Hey, Khalid.
How's everyone? I heard some really good points. I just want to say something real quick. Yeah, BIPOC and POC. I'm getting head on in my arena right now. I'm in a space where people are looking to me to provide direction, and I immediately put up a post talking about, like, there needs to be a distinction. POC does not represent who I am as a person, and me as with my lineage as a descendant of slavery, and in these conversations, like the conversations that you're in, we have to look at it also from the perspective of the people who aren't in our circles. They're the ones that are getting the wrong information. And this is a guy that told me when we were coming up with the resource documents, because he had all these anti-racist books. I'm like, no, F those anti-racist books. I need to know what you're doing with the laws. I don't care how you feel emotionally and socially about treating Black people. I need to see what laws and rule and legislation that you're supporting. And most importantly, are you supporting reparations? So with that, it was one of those things where, I had to tell him that, look, these people who are talking about, BIPOC, and it sounds confusing to you. It's supposed to sound confusing because we have a historic precedent of it. If you look at the 1710 Meredith Manumissions Act, there are people that are there to sabotage things. So I need you as an individual, if you are truly invested in this history, you got to know no one plays by the rules here. They're going to try to defend certain things and misdirect all the time. And what ended up happening was I sent him the article I said, for BIPOC, yes, I'm sure the Native Americans, they deserve whatever they need to get for themselves. But to come up with a way to say that we have a relationship when there's historically has never been a relationship like that or a dynamic like that, that needs to be rectified first before we could ever step together in unison. And so I posted the article about the Al Jazeera, Native Americans adopting white slavery and owning 50% of the enslaved people. I said, yeah, that has to be done first before you want to team up with me. So, he's a Jewish guy, and what I did was I posted a link to Pastor Cosby talking to the Louisville mayor, telling you know, don't call us people of color. So I was like, look, you know, he's Jew, he's Jewish. And it's like, when the Jews got reparations, they didn't say we're going to distribute these payments. Specific. You have to be specific in your claim. So yeah, that's it.
I just want to clarify what the terminology he was using. If anyone doesn't understand, like BIPOC and POC, so people of color, BIPOC is Black and Indigenous people of color, and then POC is just people of color.
Yeah, and real quick, that in itself is a shoehorn in itself. So if I say Black, that includes everyone that's Black. And then if I say Indigenous, that includes the Native Americans. But then Indigenous also includes, because there's another thing, I've met people who are Native American / Latin American. And so what they'll do is they'll be Latin American, but then they'll kind of shoehorn and say, okay, I was part of the Aztecs, which are also a part of a Native American tribe that also used to come into America. So you have
sorry, go ahead. Well, it sounds to me like BIPOC is just a way to, they've seen ADOS popping up, so it's like a way to get out ahead of that, to say like, singled you out specifically, now it's BIPOC.
No, we're not doing that.
Make us look, whenever we still want to be ADOS, it's a way to make us look unreasonable. Like, again, just like, we don't want to be POC to try to say, oh my God, you're being divisive. And then, so whenever we push back on BIPOC, also they'll probably try to do the same thing. So we need to get out ahead of that, basically.
Yeah, I'll say this, Evan. The first time I heard it was about 1.5 years ago, and it was because, you know, for me, because I'm a creative and stuff like that. So when we're talking about like marketing and design, all that stuff, we're usually the people that are the adopters that make the things that people watch and look at, and then they adopt it. So I met this woman. She was, you know, I was like, I couldn't tell what she was, and she's like, "Oh, I'm BIPOC." Well, what do you mean you're BIPOC? She goes, "Oh, you know, it's we made that term because Blacks felt excluded from people of color, so we created BIPOC." And so I'm like, what type of Blacks is she talking about? I guess she's talking about the people who are newly either don't know about their lineage or are new to America, and so they don't like the term people of color, so they want to have something that's Black too. But I was like, nah, like I'm ADOS, and then I had to explain that, and she was like, oh, exactly, different.
Yeah, exactly. People want to act like we're radical or something like that. So there always has to be a fake unity brand to kind of counter us, I guess. So, but yeah, BIPOC, and a lot of our people go along with stuff like that because they want to believe that there is a coalition or that we have allies that we don't have. So that but I just posted today some content from Neely Fuller. He just talks about like the way that they keep us down is just by causing confusion. So they just throw names after name after name after name. They put like a crazy person if you don't go along with it. So it's all just to cause confusion, and it kind of works. So I mean, you know, part of our mission is to, I feel like, just bring clarity and just cut right through the nonsense as quickly and as rationally as possible without, you know, with, I guess it's just tough. Like that's the ever going challenge of being an ADOS early adopters. We're right, like we're on the just side, we're on the right side. We can see the game that's being played, but everybody else doesn't necessarily see it. So like our job, I guess, is to help people see it.
The B in BIPOC was probably meant to really be inclusive to Black immigrants because it doesn't serve ADOS at all, to make them feel somehow connected, and also to continue to aid in white denial, because there's white people that really don't know. They just operate in it, and it's like the water they swim in. They don't know what the hell is in the water. And then there's people that are orchestrating what the water is. So like, if you think about white people that are kind of oblivious, that, you know, don't consider themselves anti-racist or racist, if you call someone a nigger, it's a passive, it's supposed to place us in a certain place. You treat the niggers like this. You treat the colors like this. You treat the black people like this. It doesn't. It puts you in a passive place. When you talk about being an American descendant of slavery, as a white American, you have to do something about that. You know, you have to deal with that. You know, so that's how what I say when AOS is offensive and not offensive on offense is you have to be active around the term ADOS. You know, you can't just, you know, cast us away or put a knee on our neck and disappear us quietly. You know, you have to. ADOS requires something Black Lives Matter, the CBC, NAACP doesn't require. It requires you to move. It requires you to act, even if you're white.
Agreed. So with that, I said Linda Way is back. Can we hear you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Hey.
Okay, greetings everybody. I'm so sorry of the technical stuff earlier, but I know we've probably changed the subject. But in terms of the people of color, I think it is for the glory and the gore and twistedness for white supremacists to hear it for themselves, because basically anyone can be classified as white. As we all know, immigrants from Italy, immigrants from all over the world before or after the 65 or 66, you come in, you classify yourself white, you get your subsidies, and you hold on to, and you just embrace the racism, the stereotyping, and the discrimination, and goes on. It's very interesting. I have a boss who is pure Italian, had a relationship, where I call it tragic arrangement, because she had a relationship with a black male, ADOS male, and really now the child's kind of anti-ADOS. And so it's a very tragic thing. And so when we go to work in an institution, a medical institution where it's a lot of people, and it's very diverse, from Iran, from China to Philippines, all over the place. And they proudly talk about being migrants here, and they proudly talking about what people of color should get. And I asked one time, what is a non-person of color? Because in my mind, you're either white or you're non-white. And for us, in our situation and who we are, from our bones to our blood, American descendants of slavery. And so I feel that, and I'm a Negro, and my birth certificate is a Negro. I just got found out my 8th great grandfather on my grandmother's side was a slave owner, came from England to Virginia 1609. That was before 1619. It's just stunning. But so thank you for letting me be heard.
Thank you so much. That was well worth the wait. We appreciate that.
She's lucky.
I just want to add one more thing real quick if I can.
Sure.
So I was just going to say, I think just to kind of like strategize around it, I think the way we get around it is just like we say that we don't define ourselves by the views of white people or in relation to white people, right? Like we don't like BIPOC, like it's not unreasonable, it's not crazy for me to say, like we don't define ourselves as starting from whiteness and then like we're just some other thing, right? Like that, because you're just reaffirming and normalizing white supremacy by doing that, right? Like we're ADOS, like we have our own unique lineage. If you want a coalition with us, great, we're open to that, like, but there's terms and conditions that come with that, right? So that's the gold standard right there. That's the correct way to do it. That's the moral, that's the ethical way to do things.
Absolutely.
And how did the trans people get to be their pronoun? Wasn't it just a requirement or a request? Didn't someone decide to make a preference? I'm just asking. I don't know who I'm amongst. Anyone can use any pronoun at this moment. I understand that, and I'm sensitive to that.
I mean, but the trans just jumped in on the rainbow wagon, and this is nobly saying that. They jumped in on the rainbow wagon, which the rainbow wagon jumped in on ADOS wagon. And then it's just been a shit show of civil rights mix up since then. And I'm not trying to offend anybody,
Yeah, I'm just
If it,
thinking about how we
but
correct someone. Because if someone was using the wrong pronoun, they would say, my pronouns are him, his,
I'm
and
gonna
he.
tap out of the pronoun conversation because I'm going to
Okay,
be rude and
no
disrespectful.
problem.
So
No
yeah.
problem, no problem. I was just thinking about our right to correct someone, that's all.
Well, if
Yeah.
you think about white ADOS allies, right? There was somebody in Tone's mentions yesterday, and we were talking about what he was talking. Tone posted an article about BIPOC, and the white guy said, maybe not my place to say, but all this goodwill needs to be used to push the reparations debate forward. Everything else is addressing symptoms rather than the cause, the wealth gap. All sort of things are springing up that seem to be a distraction. And the black trans thing is a distraction. The black feminism thing is a distraction. In terms of lost the train of thought.
There's no coalition.
Oh,
There's no alliance.
No, I was thinking, why is there no white trans movement? Or like when Billy Porter came out and he was like, we can't, whatever the fuck he said. He was like, well, we can't, black people can't be arguing about white supremacy because you guys oppress black trans people or black gay people, right? But there's no, like Billy Porter doesn't understand that the reason why black trans people are oppressed or black gay people are oppressed. Why is Anderson Cooper not worried about any of this? You know what I'm saying? Anderson Cooper's white and gay. You know what I'm saying? It's a distraction from the fact that black trans people are black. ADOS. You know what I'm saying? And they need reparations. Need a federal job there. Need a lot of things.
And by calling it, no, sorry, I thought you were down. Sorry about that. But no, I was just gonna say, and to call it a distraction is even considered disrespectful. So that's why I was like kind of hesitant, because it's like if you try to have the conversation about trans in any particular way, or LGBTQ, or it's a lot of them that's under that umbrella, where they're not just protected by law, they're protected socially, where if you say anything, even me as the L inside of the umbrella, they'll just be like, you're transphobic. And they could misconstrue rejection with oppression. And that's not what's happening here. You may be rejected by your family because you're gay or you're trans. You're not oppressed by America because you're gay or trans. America loves you because you allowed by you becoming this melting pot of issues. It allows them to take advantage of us constantly.
But poor white people. I mean, but white people don't reject their gays. You know what I'm saying? Or their trans.
White people do
Yes,
reject
they
their
do.
gays and their trans.
But
like
they
here
Yes,
in
they
Florida,
do.
They're still
here
a
in
part
Florida,
of. They still have white wealth. You know what I'm saying? They still
yes,
get their
they have white
But they
wealth.
had to fight
You know what I'm
for
saying?
it. That's
But
the
the
whole issue.
hatred that they put on us, like we never had conversion camps. We never had pray the gay away. Like when it comes to the heart of hating these, it's white people. White people will slaughter their own. Yes, they will love them over us, but that's a white issue that they need to clean house with and stop projecting on Black America. And Black America needs to stop accepting the projection as though their issues are our issues. Yeah, we have issues with each other and everything, but we all know that when it comes to something happening, at the end of the day, we all jumping in, and we're not asking, hey, did you sleep with a dude last night? Did you sleep with a woman last night? We family. And that comes to like any and everything that we do when we have barbecues to when we helping each other pay bills. We're family. And that hatred that they speak about and they try to put on us is all white society's own issues. And they don't want to deal with how bad they treated each other, so they put it on us. We've never set up conversion camps and sent our kids away and told them not to come back gay. We've never done that to them.
I got a question.
Sure.
Oh shit.
Is that Pranay? Who's
I'm
speaking?
trying.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
I'm breaking up.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me see.
No, you're fine now.
It's good now? Okay.
Yeah.
No, and I was wondering about something similar, how that
like what Nobly was saying about the kind of like socially protected groups, right? Because I find that like, you know, LGBT or specifically right now trans and then Jewish people, right? And because I want to know, like, are they a part of POC? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they have, you know, pretty much as much whiteness as most white people, but they have to become white at a point too here in America. And so, like, is there any way around anti-Semitism? Because I mean, it's like if you tell the truth, you're not saying nothing. I don't know. I would never say I hope y'all get another, you know, another Holocaust or no stupid shit like that. But it's like if you just say anything negative to them about them collectively as a group, they don't have the best record either. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and I say this, they can't say we ever did anything to them. You see what I'm saying? And that's where I be coming from, because it's like you preyed upon us, yet we've done nothing to you. Yet today in 2020, if I say anything about it, or if I just don't say the right thing, I'm screwed. You know what I'm saying? And the same with trans, like it could just be that fast. You know, you're excommunicated from social world. You know what I mean?
No, all you gotta do is say the truth. And even saying the truth about the Jewish community is anti-Semitic. Like, oh, you can't say that. Like, wait, but it's the truth though.
But this book right here that I'm reading says it more. I mean, just
right. The book that I just read, which came from somebody in your community, that's what they said. But if I say it, I'm an anti-Semite. But someone that's from your community can say that. And so, and it won't be anything hateful. It won't be anything that is just like judgmental. You could just be merely stating a fact, and it's seen as that. So it's kind of like every single word or sentiment gets policed about, you know, that particular community. And I'm like, imagine if people did that about anti-Blackness when it comes to ADOS people. Imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I think there were a lot of, it seems that every group has some type of protection. You can't say this about immigrants or you're xenophobic. You can't say this about trans folks or you're transphobic. And there seems to be, you know, there's a saying that says the group that you can't criticize is the group that has the power. So you can criticize clearly us, and we're the only group that you can criticize, that there will be no backlash, everything will be fine, but everyone else, and you're labeled. So, but I wanted to turn to our world premiere of the video, and I think this will be a good segue. Let's see if I can share my screen, and let's see, share computer sound. Let's see, is that gonna work? Okay. And are you guys ready?
Yeah, are you?
Okay. I want to hear some applause. This is a world premiere. So this is
Listen to
Yay.
clap like you mean it.
Hype. So this is the POC eulogy, and this was put together by Quantum. Quantum, do you want to say a few words before I play it?
Candace is a boss, basically. Candace is the boss.
Candace put this together.
She has the skills.
Great.
And we collaborated on this.
So this is from ADOS Pittsburgh, and here we go.
ADOS Pittsburgh.
World premiere. Okay, Evan, settle down.
We in the house.
Let's see.
You want the extended version?
Princess, unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. There's no sound.
The animation is supposed to be like a typewriter, so you'll have to excuse the choppy version.
Oh, hey, Candace, I didn't put two and two together. I didn't know that was you, girl. There it is. And Candace, you are unmuted. I'm going to say, let me stop sharing my screen. Let's see. Trey, there's going to be a quiz after this because I saw you driving. So there will be a quiz, and just for you, Trey, just for you. Candace, thank you.
Yes, I know. I'm thankful. I'm thankful to the ancestors. The version that you just saw, I believe, was static because of the connection. There is a smooth there is a smooth typewriter effect that is to flow on the YouTube, and then it's a gentle scroll up, if you will, and a gentle fade up and fade down, but it is still in the editing phase. I appreciate y'all hands. I do. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. We loved it. It is touching. It is a wonderful. The collaboration between you two. It is a wonderful end cap, if you will, on a week of just wonderful programming. And so if anyone would like to react to it, now, speak now or forever hold your peace, because POC is going away after this. So if anyone needs to say anything, they want to react to the video, please feel free to let us know. We'll unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. So.
Well, I thought it was great. I love the imagery, the ringing of the bell, the heartbeat, the typewriter, like the whole thing is just well put together, and I can't wait to post it to my Facebook page and dare somebody to say something. I'm waiting. I can't wait. I done cussed out so many white people you don't even know. So, yes, bring it. I'm ready.
Yeah, I know. I'm like looking like, okay, we have to make this go viral, because this is something that everyone needs to know. I think the term POC lives largely in media spaces. So we got to start pushing it in their face. Like, don't use that term. Be specific. So.
Right.
I like the ominous feel of it. At the end of our talk, it being quiet, you kind of meditate over the idea or over the funeral of the POC. That's all Candace.
Wonderful job.
Genius.
And Candace, you will make that link. Is that the link you want us to use, and you will make it public so that we can share it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I saw the yeah, it is actually, yes.
It's public now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go grab it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to post it.
The MP4 link. That way I can do like a Google Drive link. So if you can link it to Google Drive, then that means any one of us could download it and upload it organically.
Okay. So that's okay.
And not just because to get all the YouTube likes and views is hard these days with the algorithm. So we're better off linking to Google Drive, downloading it's a 7-minute video, downloading it to whatever you can, and then putting it, on you can add it to your Facebook, you can add it to as an actual uploading of a video.
Okay. So do you have the MP4? We'll get those details together and make that available. So
yep.
Okay.
I sure will.
I'll make the MP4 available so everyone can go and post it. Okay, cool.
We want to thank the American DOS Caucus for all of their effort and all of their hard work for all of the this week's events.
Well, and let me and thank you, Hicks. Appreciate that. But this was a collaborative, the Southern Collaborative, as well as our folks up north in ADOS Pittsburgh land. So it was definitely a collaborative effort, and of course, everyone who showed up across the week. And we're not done. We have one more day, but we'll talk about that later. But for everyone who showed up, like, thank you so much. It means so much to us that you showed up. I hope you learned something, and we're going to make everything available as soon as possible. We have your email addresses, so we'll be following up with you as well. But Ricky, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, that was an accident. Sorry about that. Actually, I did leave something in the chat. However, the beautifully made video. What did I say? Basically, congratulations. It is exactly what is needed. I have been feeling the same way. You know, a way to really make our voices, you know, really like strong in this moment, because there's so many people like out there kind of muting us out, and everybody's got say and nobody's talking to us. Everybody's got something to say about us, but nobody won't talk to us. And really getting the true facts and things like that. But I'm working on a project. I have been working on a similar script for an actual, like a video project, but there's a different project where I just kind of wanted to gather a bunch of creatives in the movement. It's called ADOS Creatives for the Cause, and I've been laying down little foundations in here and there, but I still have to meet with ADOS LA kind of for guidance. You know, it's just to kind of help, because it's a, you know, it's a lot of work in any of this. So but this is an excellent example of something that represents, you know, people doing things visually, creatively, writing, and things that really help to push the movement forward to and towards reparations in itself. So if you would reach out to me, I left my emails in the chat. That would be wonderful. I would love to post that on the pages and things like that. So thank you so much. That was awesome. That was everything.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ricky.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So with that, my co-hosts, do the co-hosts have, well, let me just say again, Candace, thank you. That is, I think like fine wine, you know, it like takes a while to just kind of the aroma to open, and so it is so much in there that I think it is just going to be explosive in terms of when people see it. So thank you so much, Candace. It's a wonderful tribute to our ancestors, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it made Juneteenth. It Juneteenth on Juneteenth, y'all.
Yes.
Yes, y'all. Yes,
Yes.
y'all.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I'm going to expect everybody
All right,
to
Candace.
share this. Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm sorry, I had unmuted you. Bruce, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, my name's Bruce. Adolph Pittsburgh, and I was just sitting back, just listening, and I want to thank Candace for, you know, the work she did on her video presentation, because we were having our meeting, I guess about maybe a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about POC needed to go, you know, and she just went and got on her computer and put a blue. Next thing you know, she had POC crossed out, and then she did a couple more versions of it. So every time I would see POC somewhere, CBC or the TVC or whoever's website, you know, I throw that in there, you know. So I'm grateful, you know, that she expounded on just the POC slashed out to put a video together. She snuck that in. I didn't know she was going that far, but she did an outstanding job. And I'm grateful for the discussion. You know, you guys are doing a real good job of hashing out POC, because I believe it is very offensive, and we need to be specific of who we are, you know, and our lineage and what we're owed. So I'm grateful for the discussion, to be able to just sit back and listen. I was supposed to go to work a little early, but I laid back and said, no, I'm gonna stay home and listen to this. Now I got to cut out of here and get to work. But I'm grateful for you guys, and thanks for the acknowledgement. Thanks for all the work everybody's doing. ADOS for life.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Co-host, any parting words?
I struggled with the POC thing. Well, this is like about maybe 5 years ago, when I sent Yvette Carnell a Facebook request. I had no idea what I was getting into, and I really struggled with immigrants and the whole idea. I knew we were owed reparations and that was for us, but I didn't know about the data and what was going on. And just like we were really as a group about to really go into that dark night without Tony Yvette and Sandy Darity's work, and I thank them for saving us from our death.
Absolutely. Absolutely. ADOS Dallas, Shelley, any parting words?
I think everybody did a phenomenal job. I am just simply blown away and really blessed at just all the information that's been reaffirmed and that have been shared. I'm sure that everybody has put all their hearts and souls into the work. So I'm really, really, really appreciative. It just reignites our commitment to our ancestors and to our people. And also too, big shout out to Yvette and Tone for being the reason why we have the political education that we have. And so I'm just truly grateful to have other people that are also a part of our lineage that get it. So I'm grateful. Thank y'all so much.
Absolutely. Before I forget, we have movie night tomorrow, Saturday, 8 o'clock. We're going to get together on Zoom. You have to register for that. I believe the movie is The Heritage of Slavery. So come out, bring your libations. That is the end cap for our Juneteenth festivities. And then Gwinnett NAACP is hosting Dr. Kevin Cosby on Sunday at 5 o'clock. You can go to our Facebook page to see that live. And we have Trish and Evan, I believe, and Nobly with the final comments. Oh, Marguerite, wait a second. Oh, she wants to talk. Or are you want to? Oh, never mind. I thought she was done. Go ahead, Trish, Evan, and and Nobly. Final thoughts.
Can I say something before they get started? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to also give a big shout out to Princess. Thank you so much for everything. Also to Trish and Nobly. Oh my God, just so amazing working with you all and everybody that contributed to the research or in any kind of way. Bakara, Adolph Dallas, Adolph Houston, thank y'all so much. And anybody that I missed and everybody else that had a part to play. Georgette, you did amazing. Marguerite and everybody, Marlon on Sunday and everybody that was involved on Sunday as well. So I'm truly thankful. Thank y'all so much.
Hey y'all, I'm driving. That's the only reason why I'm driving. You know I love y'all.
Hey, this is Nobly. I just wanted to say thank you to Princess as well. Some of the information that I want to share is not my information to share about how amazing she is, but what I can say is that, she has been a force to be reckoned with staying on top of people that say that they want to do the work. Don't say you want to do the work and don't show up. And she's done a wonderful job with holding people accountable, including myself, with a level of professionalism that has to come with this push for reparations. That sometimes is easy to forget because there's no payment, there's no immediate gratification, so to speak, with the work that we do. So without having someone on you just letting you know, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, calling out your BS when you say that you're gonna do something, if you're gonna show up, do it. And that has meant the world to me as somebody that has kind of needed a little bit of structure with getting the work done and a little fire under me with my motivation and energy. And I just wanted to just really just give her a personal shout out because that has been, one of the most life-saving tools that has been gifted to me from her throughout this whole process. And I just wanted to appreciate her for that.
Oh, Nobly, thank you. I appreciate the fact that you showed up this week, and because you could have been giving a TED Talks on Yvette's show last night, but no, you showed up this week.
Yeah, I'm doing that for next week. I'm getting my event situation ready. You know, I've been calling in and she don't never answer my calls. So when she do, she gonna get an earful. But anyways, I just wanted to say that, just definitely recognize you in that moment. And then also everyone that showed up, everyone that shows up in to these events, please check out the podcast that's coming on tonight too. I think that's going to be with ADOS LA, where we support each other, where we push the message. We are all instrumental in this whole, and
Thank you,
I
Georgia.
really appreciate everyone showing up tonight and the past couple of nights. And we're not done because we have something tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Go for it, Trish. Or Evan, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. Got me tearing up for my sign off nobly, but yeah, I just want to say, I'm not going to keep it quick. You know, doing this kind of work, like she said, there's no instant gratification, and it has its ups and its downs. You know, sometimes it feels like you're just running into a wall, just talking to people. They don't get it. They don't want to listen. And then whenever we do stuff like this, like you just being around people like Princess, like Nobly, like all of you guys, like the whole caucus, all the chapters, seeing the quality of the work that people put into stuff like this for no pay, just because it really keeps me going. It just reinvigorates me. It makes me positive that we are going to get reparations someday. Like, I have no doubt. And I have to give Princess a special shout out too. Ditto everything Nobly said. I think this caucus, I can only speak to the caucus individually because that's what I've been involved with. She has laid the foundation, and this thing, you know, her spirit is going to be with it for years to come. Like the accountability, the quality, everything like that is her fingerprints. You know, for everything that you see coming out of this, that is her energy behind that. So that's what I just wanted to say.
Teamwork makes the dream work. You guys are a wonderful team. All of us together. Even if I don't work with you personally on a project, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. So thank Evan and Nobly. You know, I'm gonna cuss you guys out after this is over. So, but you guys are wonderful to work with as well. So, Trish, and then we can close out.
Okay, well, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. I got to work with Nobly and Shelly and a little bit with Candace, and you guys are amazing. I love working with you, your energy, just hanging out. Like, I have new friends now. I have friends, Princess. Ha! So it's a rough world in ADOS land, I'm telling you what. But anyways, and Princess knows that she's my ace. Like, we hang out. I mean, you know, virtually now, but you know, whatever. So thank everybody for coming. Thank you.
She still wasn't coming up off that toilet paper for me though.
What?
She will come up on that. Trace, let me borrow some toilet paper. What? All right. Join us tomorrow. If you enjoyed our banter and our commentary, because everyone knows me knows I'm a clown. Join us tomorrow. We will be watching, I believe, A Heritage of Slavery. We may change it last minute, but we look forward to you. You guys that have showed up have been the best part of all of this. So I really appreciate you, Trish, Shelly, Georgette, Candace, Evan, Franco, Khalik, and his beautiful, I was just talking to Khalik earlier. Khalik does the Black American DOS Caucus, the graphics, many of them. And his graphics are like artwork. Like, I'm going to blow this up and hang this on my wall. That's how beautiful his graphics are. So, he is, a lot of times we talk about motivation and the energy. How can you not be motivated when Khalik was like, oh yeah, I just put this together? And we're like, yes, okay, now we hate. So, Khalik, thank you.
I forgot to mention Franco. Franco is the bomb. Like, he works and he just shows up, and he we call him the silent assassin because he just shows up and he's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I thought I did, but my apologies if I didn't.
You
So,
did, but I didn't.
I put it in
okay.
the chat, but he was definitely amazing.
Great. Thank you. And again, we'll try to make everything. We've recorded everything. We'll try and make all of the decks available to you and find a way to distribute that. Give us some time. But hopefully we'll see you on Saturday and Sunday for 2 more events. So thank you so much, everyone. Be
Thank
safe.
you. Thank you, Prince.